All right, let's get started. So, Rachel, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Yeah.
This is a podcast we created to create a community of artists and creative people in Toronto. Most of it to understand how your path has been so far, not just yours, all the artists from different multidiscipline. And the other reason is we want to create a community because a lot of people, especially in the photography discipline, have told me that they haven't when they started their career, they didn't get enough support from people who's already been in their place. So I thought maybe we can create like a hub, or you can also talk about it. We'll talk about it, like how your journey has been. But we want to create a hub where people can come in and check out other people's experiences and learn from their mistakes. And so we can foster like a creative community in Toronto. 100%. So that thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here.
I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation.
I know. We've talked about a lot. So
yeah.
I'm so excited.
So I guess so a lot of people, since we worked together before a little bit, but let's talk about your background a little bit, how you kind of got into music. Like you're mainly a singer, right? Do you play instrument?
So I actually am learning how to play the guitar.
Oh, okay.
So
but your main instrument is voice, right?
Is the voice, exactly.
Okay, so why don't we talk about how you kind of got into it, and start from there?
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good. So I guess where I started would be when I was very young. My father was a singer, songwriter, performer back in the 80s and 90s. He was a Juno-nominated artist, two-time Juno-nominated artist. Yeah. So I wasn't really awake because I was so young, if that makes sense.
So what is so young? Like, how old were you?
I think the 2000s is when he was nominated. So I think I was 2 years old.
2 years old?
2 years old.
So do you remember?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't remember anything, but I do remember hearing him sing. His voice was like an angel. So my father did pass away back in 2011, but yeah, it's okay. But I think up until I was about 5 to 10 years old, I used to follow him around and listen to his voice and try to mimic him under my voice. And I wasn't so confident yet to show him that I can sing. But I remember.
So like, what did that look like? Like you're singing in your room or like?
No. Oh, well, yeah. It would be me singing in my room or
by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, oh, I like that riff that he did. And I'd just be like, oh my God, that's so cool. You're using your voice to sing. And it's such a vivid, like, memory that I can't really picture what room I was in or anything, but I remember doing it and hearing the sound. So yeah, that's really how I got into it. And once my dad would like go on certain trips because he had businesses across the world. He's from Congo, but he also had some things in the UK. So he would go on a lot of business trips. And I remember the last time that I remember seeing him, I said, "Daddy, I want to sing." And he was like, "Okay, when I come back, we're going to get you in the studio."
Wow.
Didn't happen.
Oh, it didn't happen?
He did pass away a year or two later, and that was the last time I seen him. So that's how I started. And I was like, okay. When he did pass away, which was in 2011, I made a vow that I would carry on his legacy. So that's where it all started.
Wow. So that's very powerful because the last time you met him, you told him that you wanted to sing, and then you haven't seen him after that.
No.
Wow. That must have left quite a shock in you.
Yeah, a huge hole that I had to fill with a desire to pursue music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a great innate desire. Okay, so you decided, and what was the first step you took after you decided that you're going to carry on his legacy? How did the journey start?
It started I was in grade 5. I remember this. After he passed away. Sorry, I'm mixing up the timelines. But I decided to apply for this school called the Wexford School of Arts for the musical theater program. So that's
so where is this?
In Scarborough. So that's at Pharmacy in Victoria Park.
Okay. Is it like an art school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
High school.
Yeah.
Arts high school.
Yeah.
And you do have to audition to get into the musical theater program.
Oh, wow.
So from there, I was like, I want to do talent shows. I want to write and I want to do music. I don't know how it all transpired, but then I found myself in front of an audition and I got in.
So how did you prepare for the audition? Did you have any professional help?
No, not at all.
Wow.
This is all like raw. And I was just...
You didn't go to like any teacher or anything, no?
No. but they put me in earlier than they usually put the students in.
Okay.
So I started the next semester instead of the next year.
Oh, so I guess you were good. That's why.
I guess. I actually, that whole like timeline was so blurry that I'm just like, oh, I woke up and I'm where I'm supposed to be. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I guess, so you went to an art school, and what was the training like there? Like, obviously, you probably did a lot of things.
Yeah, it was where I was really exposed to what art looks like, whether that be visual, performance, music, like everything. And I was like, I walked in and people were just like, the first day I walked in and they were all in a circle and they're like, okay, sing this song. And then harmonies everywhere. And then I was like, and I had no concept of harmonies at that point. So I was just like, this is like Wonderland. I have no idea what's going on, but this is so cool. So first experience.
That's great. Were you nervous?
Super nervous. Like my hands were like this. And the teacher, her name is Anne Miriam. She's a legend at Wexford Collegiate. She's like,
out.
put your hands down. And I was like, okay. This is some serious business. What did I sign up for?
And so I guess you're at this point, you're surrounded by all other artists and creatives, right?
Yeah.
And so how did you decide, like, where do you want to go after that? Or did anyone, like you mentioned one of the teachers, did anyone kind of shape your like future, like, or give you confidence? Like, how was the experience like there?
I literally watched greatness in the making. How it shaped my experience is it gave me the opportunity to stand on stage and perform. So, and that's what I stand on now as my brand as an artist, is my ability to perform.
That's
so
great.
it really opened those doors without me knowing. But that's when I really found out that I love being on stage.
I've seen you on stage. You're crazy.
Oh my God, thank you.
Like, it doesn't sound like, it, like, yeah, you like, it looks like you're like, when you're on stage, that you have been performing for like years, which you have, but like, it looks like you've been performing for years in like in a professional setting.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to cut you off. But
No, of course. But yeah, that was all because of my experience. I was in the choir too. And I was a very shy kid where I didn't feel like I was able to take up space with my voice and really just shine. So when I was handed the mic, a lot of the times I would shy away and sing off key, but I was always trying to find ways of like help. Like, is there a class or something that I can go to? Obviously everything was self-funded and I'm like 16. So I'm working my little job.
Sorry, is it class for like to kind of break out of your shyness, or class for music?
Vocal
class.
lessons.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was like the whole nutshell of like just being able to be a performer and be confident and take that mic and sing. No. When you gave me that mic, I was like,
So are you like naturally, or were you naturally an introvert, or do you consider yourself as an introvert?
yeah, I think I haven't really sat down and taken the time to identify this.
How does your friends and family, how do they categorize you? Extrovert.
Yeah.
But except when you're when you're performing.
No, in rooms. And like, I think it's because I had to be in situations where I had to turn it on all the time. I don't know if like a lot of cultural backgrounds, like, aunties and uncles come over, you have to entertain, right? So you turn it on. But in all reality, I'm like shaking in the middle. When I'm on stage, when I'm about to get on stage, I'm shaking. I'm like literally full on anxiety.
Does this still happen now?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't show. So.
I don't know. It's like when I describe me being on stage, it's literally like I'm in a trance. It's like I'm behind something, like behind a glass wall. I'm like, okay, this part is coming up next. You're going to move here. You're going to do this. That's what's happening in my head. And I'm like, I don't remember anything. So
at this point you were looking to get some vocal lessons.
Yes.
Did you get some?
No. Oh, well, there was one teacher named Jeffrey Newberry.
You remember all your teachers' names?
Yeah, because it was such an important time in my life and my development.
Which is great,
yeah. So he said, okay, come every Monday or something, and we're gonna do some classes, but learn this song. So that ended there. And I was going through the motions and just life. And, when you're in high school, the next step is college. So a lot of that conversation was happening. And because I originally was at Senator O'Connor, Catholic secondary school. And then I auditioned in grade 10 to Wexford and I got in. So
so you didn't go to Wexford from the beginning?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just inserted in the middle. So there was a strong desire of me wanting to be with my friends and just be young, wild, and free and experience my prom with the people that I know. So the last semester of high school, I switched back and I went to Senator O'Connor because I felt like Wexford wasn't somewhere I was supposed to be anymore. And that's where the years went by. And
do you think it was like looking back, do you think that was the right decision?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, but I don't regret anything because my experience is my experience, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually hard for sometimes. I find it personally. It's a good quality that you have, not regretting something.
Thank you.
There are times that I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, same.
What a waste of time.
100%.
But okay, so how did you navigate? So how did you navigate what you wanted to do after? Did you go to music college after that?
No, I didn't.
So how did you navigate what you wanted to do after?
So I went into Ryerson. I got accepted into the business management program.
Okay.
And
same alma mater. I've been there as well. So,
really?
Yeah. Well, they don't call it Ryerson anymore.
TMU.
TMU. I know.
Oh my god.
Apparently, it's very frowned upon. I asked someone like a few days ago because they're like, "Oh, same alma mater." He's like, "Yo, we don't call it Ryerson anymore." I'm like, "Oh." Okay.
Yeah. It's TMU.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Toronto Metropolitan. Oh god.
Okay, so you got into the business program.
Yeah.
Why did you apply for the? It's like, do you want it to go like a safety route, sort of? Like, why did you apply to the business program?
Well, I had a lot of people in my ears saying that, pick something that's practical. And originally it was supposed to be nursing or something in the medical field because it's so sustainable. But then I was like, I want to do music. Eventually I want to do music. So if I'm going to do something, if I'm forced to be going to school, I'm going to do something that will eventually bridge the gap to music. So going through a couple of years of university, I realized that I'm not learning about anything that had to do with music. And I found myself just dozing off.
Yeah, that program has nothing to do with music.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Global trades and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do music. I'm gonna really do music. But around that time and around the end of high school, I was going through a bit of stuff with my family. There was a lot of emotional and physical abuse that happened throughout high school. And that's
Sorry
how...
to hear that, Rachel.
That's okay. It's my story, right?
But it's like, so this is happening in high school and university kind of both together. Where were you living at this time? At home?
At my mom's house, yes.
While this was happening?
Yes. I was, so really, I've been experiencing this my whole life and I don't I don't give that experience enough credit because I'm like, yeah, this was kind of my normal my whole life. But it did progressively get worse as I got older. So as I was navigating through those struggles, and I think that's also what aided me going to Senator O'Connor, switching back. So I'm just like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm gonna just, not worry about my future right now and just go be with my friends. So, yeah. Okay.
So at Ryerson, did you finish the program?
No.
Okay. So it has nothing to do with music. You realized after you joined, and then how did you pursue music from there?
From there, so going back to the story of the emotional and physical abuse, one night it got really bad, and I had a friend that said, this is not normal. You can't go back there, So he's like, we're gonna go grab your stuff, and you're gonna stay at mine. And we're going to figure it out from there.
Shout out to friends like that.
Yeah.
Everyone needs friends like that in their life.
Yeah. And like just being that selfless and just saying, I'm going to help you out of this, which I know is not normal or healthy. And he was also a musician. So he was teaching me a bit about the business and the backgrounds that go into that. And from there, I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this school. Actually, you know what? Now thinking about it, everything had a trickle effect. Me going through what I went through at home trickled the effect of not wanting to go to school and wanting to pursue the music. So it's a domino, And
so I guess you're grateful for that experience.
Yeah. Like when I say my story is my story, I'm like, looking back, I wouldn't be thinking and acting the way I do now and with this type of posture had I not gone through that. So, yeah.
And how did you, were you writing your song or like, were you composing at this point? Like, how did you come about your first song or? I want to get into, because I know one of your songs, if not the first song, or one of your single was dedicated to this experience,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So was it around this time you wrote the song, or what? How did that come about?
This exact time. So this was December 2019.
So it's not too long ago.
Not too long ago,
Okay.
So yeah, when I left my house, I went to my guy friend's house, and then from there, I went to an actual home that one of my friends, her name is Christina. I started couch surfing between my friends' homes because these were like my mothers and my family as I was growing up. Because you know, when you're going through hard times at home, you find comfort in someone else's family.
Of course. Yeah.
So I went to those homes, and in the middle of that jump, and those jumps, it was at 2 different houses, I believe. That's when I was like, okay, we're here. You have no home, no family.
Wow.
What are we gonna do? So I sat down, I went through BeatStars and YouTube. I said, let's write our first song.
At this point,
Yeah.
like, people would be like, I guess they would be drowning in sorrow. If I was it, like, I don't know if I would be strong enough to handle something like that, especially at that age. But also, they'll be drowning in sorrow and complaining. But instead, you kind of took it in a positive way and wrote music.
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, you wrote the song?
Yes, exactly. Okay. I remember specifically, it was 3 or 4 a.m. Everyone was sleeping, and I went downstairs in my friend's house, and Courtney and Brittany, God bless them. And I just started writing. But I was writing poems throughout this whole thing, just trying to explain like what I'm feeling, how broken I was. And this was about April 2020, and I believe we just started the lockdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Make it more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when Best Is Yet to Come came out, and the words, you say you need me, but that's just all you want from me. Because my mom messaged me and she was just like, I need you to come back. And I'm like, you didn't need me the first 20 years of my life. Why do you need me now?
So it seems like the music was actually therapy for you, would you say?
Yes.
It was, like, because it sounds like it, because I kind of, like, how did you stay emotionally stable at this point? Like, well, how come you didn't go crazy?
Yeah.
Or did you go crazy and you don't want to talk about it? Like,
you don't know.
Maybe you'll ask your friends, like, to confirm.
You know what? Actually, I think I'm going more crazy now. But during that time, I really rooted myself in reading, in podcasts, and in my faith. So it was a lot of that was going on. I was really just trying to develop myself. And I remember turning off my emotions and turning it on when I needed to, when it became unbearable. But just proceeding. Because honestly, when you said that you don't know if you would be able to go through it like at that age, I think when you're faced with a situation like this, you have no choice but to go through it and be strong. There's no other route other than end it all, you know? And that just wasn't it for me. There's so much in this life to experience. And I'm like, I know it's going to get better. I know. I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, good thing you did. So that's, I didn't know this much detail. Like, last time I did, like, you know, we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, this is crazy, Rachel. Like, what you went through.
Thank you.
It's great. So how much of it does affect, I mean, the first song, I guess, like a direct influence of this experience.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the, you wrote some more songs after that.
Yeah.
So what about the rest of the songs?
So the rest of the songs, it was a real battle, actually, because I recently went through Honey Jam and the remix project. This was like after.
It's crazy you mentioned Honey Jam, because we had our guest yesterday, Emily, and she mentioned, do you know Emily?
Emily Schultz?
Yeah, Schultz, yeah. How do you know Emily?
Yeah. Oh my God, funny story. I worked at Joey's, and
like the restaurant Joey's?
Joey's restaurant,
Yeah.
And she was a server there.
No
and that's
way.
how I met her. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck? When we went to Honey
You
Jam.
know she's a musician, right?
Yeah, I didn't know until
Oh.
like a year or two into it. And I'm like, what the heck? This is so insane.
Yeah, she was here sitting right where you're sitting yesterday.
Hey, Emily.
Shout out to So was she in the same group in the Honey Jam? So actually talk to me about Honey Jam a little
Yeah.
bit. Just so, because this is a resource for a lot of people
Yeah.
who wants to experience creativity, I guess. Is Honey Jam only explicit for, exclusively for musicians, or can like other artists like painters and photographers can do that as well?
Just music.
Just music.
vocalists,
Okay. But
yeah.
talk about that. Like what does that program look like?
So it's actually such an amazing program. Shout out to Ebony Rowe for putting this together for, I think it's about 27 years now, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah.
How come it's not all over the place?
You know, word of mouth, but also it's the best kept secret. But you know what? As she keeps developing throughout the years, I see her kind of just putting the brand out, and that's the main point, you know. And look at us. There's Nelly Furtado, there's Melanie Fiona, Julie Black.
Yeah, so a lot of graduates from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. How did you know about that, Rachel?
How did I know? I believe people started posting it, and I was at the
Like
stage.
on Facebook?
On Instagram. I remember seeing it on stories, and I think it was Emily's year that I saw. And there was an audition, and my cousin actually sent it to me, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was in the mode of trying to figure it out at this time too. I went to Rise, I did the open mics, and then I seen this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna audition. Let's do it. You know, so yeah.
Nice. And what does the program look like in Honey Jam? Like, what does the structure look like? Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yes.
For anybody who's interested?
100%. So when you audition, you get in, you get the call.
That's when the work starts.
Yeah, that's when it starts. You are now preparing for the final show. So it's the final showcase that happens, I believe, in August. But throughout that time, because I think I got the call in June, throughout that time, there's little workshops that happen. And it's just like an introduction into the music industry, whether that be from grant writing to how to become your own artist, what sync looks like, and all that. Like that. So
is it more like the sort of like the industry and the business side, as opposed to like? But they don't touch upon your like singing lessons and all of that.
No.
So is it more for like people who are already kind of like singers and like they don't need that kind of training and they want to kind of venture into the actual real world of full-time musicians?
Yes.
Is it kind of program designed for that?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I believe they throw you through the business workshops and then it ends off at the final showcase. So you obviously have to now maybe have your own songs or be able to sing a cover and perform. That's what the initial audition is for.
Okay, and it ends with the final performance, you said?
Yes.
And where is this final? Where is it? Where does it happen?
So for my round, it happened at...
it happens at different places?
Yeah, the Alma Combo for me. But I remember they were at the Mod Club. They're now going to TD Music Hall. So that's where it happens.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to put the Honey Jam website with this link below.
Yes, 100%.
That's crazy. Yeah. Talk about some of your influence. I know you mentioned your father.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, was there any Toronto artist kind of influenced you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. So as I mentioned, I recently went through the Remix Project. And during this time, actually, there's a lot of things that happened during these years, the last 3 years. But when I was couch surfing, when I was having those thoughts of like, okay, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this happen? You're out. You're out now. Let's make it happen.
There's nowhere to hide.
There's nowhere to hide. You have to do something now, right? Jessie Reyes. So I was watching her perform.
Where?
At it was put on by Conscious Economics. Rhiannon was the host for Obama. Obama came to Toronto.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called, but
and Jessie Reyes was one of the performers?
She performed.
Did you perform as well?
No, I didn't.
So were you in the backstage?
No, I was just in the conference.
Audience?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the audience with my friend who put me on, the first person who took me out of my house. He was performing. So Jessie Reyes was performing. I was mind blown. And
she's amazing, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh my God. The vocals, insane. But I went home that night and I researched her story. And
she's from Toronto, right?
She's from Toronto.
Yeah, I knew she's from Toronto. I wasn't sure if it was from like outside GTA or like, do you know where exactly she's like, which part?
No, it might be the West End because she does have that song, Weston Road or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, the West End.
I think it's the West End. But her story was that she was here. She, did her thing and she went through the Remix Project. And I was like, Remix Project? What is that? And I started researching and I actually got to tell her the story because when I graduated, the day before or the week before we graduated, she came to have a talk.
No way.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's amazing. You saw her perform and then that's amazing. But
her story triggered my blueprint to how I'm going to make this happen.
Also, kudos to you. You went home and you did your own research and you found out a lot of people would just be inspired and not take any action on it. Right. So kudos to you as well. So give yourself credit. So talk about the remix project. So what is it? Is it like a program or is it kind of like Honey Jam?
It's an artist development program.
Okay.
Like artist development, like 9 months in a building of intense training, whether that be vocal lessons, whether that be business. You also are in a hub of creatives that's visual arts, business, and recording arts.
So is it exclusive for musicians or like other creatives as well?
All art forms.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I would say...
And you have to like audition, you have to apply for it, obviously.
Yeah, you apply for it, you get in. Same situation as Honey Jam, except this one is like really like you are now a part of the community. And for the next 9 months, you are going to pick a project to work on. You have free studio time for 9 months.
Wow.
You have producers, engineers at your disposal, and you are learning about the intricate things about the business and how to become your own independent artist. Like, this is like intense training. You know what I mean?
How come this is not like, again, like it's a good thing that we're talking about this. How come this is not all over? Because when people ask me, what are the resources in Toronto? You just drop like so many great Honey Jam, Remix Project. Like,
right.
How come, right? It's like, how come these are not like prevalent? Like everyone should know about this.
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Like you didn't know about this unless you Google Jessie Reyes and found out that,
right.
And you're already in the industry.
Yeah.
Is it like a actually like kept, like, why don't they market it? Like, or is it just,
I think
maybe it's something on us that we should do. Like we should spread the word more.
Maybe, yeah. I think because they have so much influence within the industry that it's, I don't know why it's a best kept secret. Because
it sounds like an amazing program.
Yeah. Maybe you need to take the time. Sorry to
Yeah. No, I was going to say, so it's in 9 months?
9 months.
Okay. And you go through everything and you already graduated from there?
I graduated.
And then what happened? Like, what was the encounter like? So do you have to perform? Like, what's the end of the graduation? Like, what does the graduation look like?
So it's we had it at History, Toronto, last year, December. And basically they kind of just do like a recap of what happened in the year, the projects that we work on, because we actually leave there with projects that we are putting our time and effort in. So that is on display on the screen. It's literally like a whole graduation ceremony. We get our little plaques with our names on it, and then each of the recording artists, they perform in between this. Nice. So they really just put us on full on, like, stage lighting, like mic, monitors, everything like that. Like when I was stepped on that stage, I was like, oh my God.
This is like a real life experience. Like you do it. Like
Jessie Reyes performed there a week ago, and she had her whole set. So it's like we got the opportunity to bring our set to life with our music. So
I guess going back to her influence, she's one of your influences?
Yes. Sorry, we went off on
You don't even think about that. It's like, yes. Okay. 100%. Who else from Toronto?
From Toronto. Melanie Fiona.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh my God. And I just got to perform with her as her background singer in her Amazon special. You guys can watch it now on YouTube.
Is it out on YouTube? Okay.
LOVE, Love.
All right. So Melanie Fiona, Jessie Reyes, anybody else?
Those, I think, those are the two that I'm like really trying to model my careers off of.
It looks like you have done, because one of the things I always ask in this interview, Rachel, is what are some of the things you have done right? Mm-hmm. It looks like you have been in the right path, and these are all the things that you did right and kind of worked out. But you also hustle a lot. Like I see you like everywhere. Like you're performing, you're either writing songs, you're like dropping singles, you're performing again. Like you're just like constantly at it.
Yeah.
And you also work like part-time or full-time or like?
I work part-time at a restaurant.
While you're doing all of this.
Yeah, because music is expensive and it will drain your pockets.
Yeah.
If you yes, there are grants that you apply for, but the waiting for them and to continuously stay creative.
And also writing the grant is a process.
Oh my God.
Like it's like it takes hours and hours for writing. I looked into it, like some photography grants, and I still yet have to get into it.
It's too much.
Like it's just like, yeah, it takes like research, like you're writing an essay, proofread to someone, and then after that someone says no, you're like,
Budget.
yeah, and then someone says no, you're not, like,
Yeah, then you really just like, you got to keep it pushing, because you also have to make sure that you're making the money just in case.
Yeah, just in case you don't get it. Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah, I know.
But it's still a blessing that we are able to have grants and free money.
I know.
But you got to work.
But those things, yeah. So there's grants, and then some of the project that you mentioned. Talk about Rise. So how did you kind of like, how did you find out about this?
So I think one of my mentors when I was really young.
Who was your mentor?
Steven.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Wow, Steven. Segan.
Segan, what's his last name? Or you just go by Segan?
Yeah, he has. I'm gonna give you his last name.
How long have you has he been your mentor?
He was my mentor when I was around 15.
So it's
in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, but he that was until the end of high school, I believe.
Okay, and so he's not your mentor anymore?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But we still stay in touch.
and so he's the one who kind of introduced you to Rise, the program?
Yeah. He was. I guess he was invited by Randell, who is the co-founder of Rise, or the founder of Rise. He just brought me to one of those, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I want to do an open mic. I don't know. Like, I'm going to get myself out there. Mm-hmm. The timelines are so jumbled because through that open mic is where I met my friend who took me out of the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then also Small World, we talked about Emily as well.
Yeah.
Like it seems like everything is interconnected somehow.
The industry
crazy.
is so small. Like everyone knows everybody, and it's right there.
Yeah.
In front of your face. So
and was it so Rise is just like an open mic sort of like a platform, or like what does the program look like?
So it started off as an open mic where anyone who wanted to perform got to.
Where is it?
It started off in Scarborough.
Okay.
But now I believe they are. I'm not sure where they're set, but. I'm gonna try to get grounded in this story because
it's a lot of moving pieces.
It's a lot of moving pieces at the same time. Because when I first, before the stuff happened with my mom, that's when I decided I want to go to an open mic. When I first performed there, the first day I walked in, they're like, "Are you performing?" And I'm like, "No."
Why'd you say no?
I was just like, I just want to come and see.
Oh, you just want to go? Okay, I thought you wanted to go.
I haven't performed like my own stuff outside of a Wexford ever, and this is my first open mic. And they're like, "Okay, come, sing." So when I got up there, same thing, shake, shake, shake. I started singing. They turned off the lights. People put on their flashlights, and they were waving like this. And I'm like, this is so weird, But it's so like this can be life. And I said, mark my words, this is the beginning. And
That's
from
great.
there...
And how old were you at this point?
I think I was 18 or 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great confidence,
Yeah.
It kind of worked out for you. But so, and that was Rise?
That was Rise.
Okay, so you kind of knew about them from there.
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Okay.
But it's so funny because full circle, as they have grown into the amazing platform that they are now, paying artists for performances, that's number one. And giving them big opportunities to be on TV, to be a part of brand sponsorships. They have said that they've watched me, and they did recently, I believe it was January, put me on their Lee's Palace showcase.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're like, you keep doing what you're doing, and we're going to keep giving you opportunities. And they have watched me from the beginning.
These are like heroes in our industry. Like, people who are running programs like Honey Jam and then the Rise,
Remix, everything.
These are like heroes of our industry. They should be more prevalent out there. It's creating great opportunities. I would love to talk to actually one of them.
100%.
So I'll reach out to them and see if they're, because they should be up front, right? People should know about this. 100%. Such a great opportunity. We talked about one of the things we talk about in this podcast are challenges. Mm. Like, obviously, you went through a lot of your personal challenges, but on the music side, were there any challenges for you? Like, do you find, how do you find inspiration? Or let's talk about some of the challenges just on the music side.
Yeah. On the music side, I think the biggest challenge too is finding a home to create. Because in the beginning, I was definitely like paying for studio time and just like paying to pay and writing the songs at home. But what I was really introduced at Remix was being in the studio, locking in and creating and not looking at the clock. Yes, of course, look at the clock because people's time is important.
Yeah.
But like, create. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in your bedroom all the time. Come in the studio and be inspired. That was the biggest challenge for me sonically, musically, because I couldn't stand in front of the mic and just make up a riff. I can't do that because I wasn't able to take up space growing up. So standing in front of a mic and just being like, "Duh," like all that stuff, it's like me, I cringe inside. And it's like a trauma that I have to uncover because music is going to be my career. This is my life and it's what I'm passionate about.
So does it only happen when you're sort of like freestyling? Or like, so that's why I guess you prepare a lot? Would you say that?
Yeah. So
how do you overcome that?
Practice.
Okay.
Practice and being in a safe space. And when I say the challenge is finding a home, you really have to be comfortable with your engineer, with your producer, and with the people in your space. That's the biggest thing I'm learning even right now. Like, not everyone should be in the studio at the same time. Because like when there's other people watching you, you get nervous. And this is such a vulnerable experience, you know? So yeah, and paying for studio time. That like money, people deserve the money, but as you're an emerging artist and you're just starting out.
It's hard.
It's hard, you know? But yeah, just finding your home, I think that's the biggest challenge.
Okay, and do you think, because it looks like there are a lot of resources in our city that you took advantage of.
Yeah.
I guess one of the other things would be like studio time because I was going to ask you, my next question is like, what are some of the things that our community can do to make it easier? What would you say?
I would say more programs, which is happening a lot. More programs that would offer artists even the opportunity to just be in the studio for free, the start time. You know, and obviously as you progress, you learn that if you want to work with the best of the best, it costs money. So I think as a community, that's a really tough question because I think they're doing it now. They just need to be on the forefront so everyone has access to it.
Absolutely. And I wanted to do something for the community, which is why I started the podcast to create like information like this.
Yeah.
Like before we spoke, I didn't know anything about Honey Jam or the remix. Like, these are great like resources that people can. So there should be like a hub like in Toronto where people can just go and then, okay, these are some of the things I can join or apply or take advantage of.
But it is online too. I think too why it's the best kept secret is that if you're really passionate and serious about it, you will go look and you will find the information.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Which is what you did. Like, you know.
Hey, I'm here now because of it.
Any changes you would make, like if like Rachel 5 years ago, if you could go back, would you do anything differently?
1,000%. I would, of course, start earlier and not doubt myself. I would put myself in the lessons I'm in right now so that I can prepare. Even though everything up until this point prepared me for what I'm going through, I wish that I would have took a chance on myself sooner, you know? So, yeah.
It's crazy because two of our other guests mentioned the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to overcome that because you like having a confidence in yourself to take the leap. Yeah. And you just, what point did you do it?
Leaving my mom's house was the point.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because as you mentioned that all the other artists said the same thing. I feel like there's a certain timeline that you go through. You go through the, okay, I'm actually going to do this stage. Then you go through, okay, how can I make this happen? And going through the doubts of yourself, and you have to find your sound next, your image, your brand. Like there's different steps. And like I'm with my manager, I have these conversations. I'm just like, I have to do this. I have to do this. She's like, girl, it's only been a year. Relax.
It's true.
Everyone has gone through the stages that you're going through now. It's just you're having it now. They had it a few years ago, but that's why you see them where they are now.
Yeah, everyone's journey is different, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the same journey.
Yeah.
Same emotional and mental journey. So yeah.
What's next for Rachel? Like, what are you working on right now? Let's talk about that.
I'm working on my very first EP. This year, I really plan on putting myself out there fully. Now that I have all the tools, all the informations from all the programs I went through, it's time to really just become the artist and really take it to the next level. And when I mean take it to the next level, I mean consistent growth. putting myself out there by any means necessary. Of course, respectfully, but by any means necessary.
What does the EP look like? How many songs you got in there?
So ideally 5 songs.
Okay.
I have been tossing and turning with the ideas. I didn't know it would take this long, but the creative process is so sensitive. I wanted to talk about my story, and then I wanted to talk about, boys and the relationships and stuff. So
of course, that has to come at your age.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because you've been going through some stuff that people usually go through in their 30s and 40s. At this point, you should be chasing boys, traveling around, dealing with normal stuff that girls go through, right? But
You're right.
Instead, you're like, oh, I gotta, I gotta find a place to live.
Oh my goodness, trust me.
I gotta make music, but that's good. It's good to have career focus at this point. You wouldn't regret that after. So, how many songs have you done so far from the EP?
I believe I have over 50 songs.
Oh, okay. You already have them. Okay, you just
but I want to keep creating. I don't feel like I found the songs solidified yet. Maybe 1, 2, or 3, but they're
Not the full
you
list.
just know when you know. And I want hip hop, R&B, and soul flavors in there. Pop and soul flavors in there. So.
And when are you expecting to release the EP?
October.
October?
Yes.
Okay. We'll make sure that we'll put the links in there, and I'll definitely come check you out. I'm guessing it's gonna be followed by performance.
100% performances all year. It never stops.
All right. Any advice you have for someone who's just starting out?
Yes. Take advantage of all opportunities that we have in this city. The city is full of opportunities where things are specifically set up for you to develop yourself, and just do it. Stop waiting for the perfect time. It's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, actually, it's kind of a great segue to end this podcast, because one of the myths that we want to break is that Toronto is not a supportive creative community. I think I mentioned this to you, and that's not true. My experience has been as a photographer, has been completely different. Anybody I reached out to, just no problem. I'll chat with you. I'll show you what I do. Not anybody. I would say 95% of the people. Some of them, they don't reply just because they're busy.
Yeah.
Drake is not going to reply to me, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but 95% of the people, they're very helpful. So this is great. So sharing your experience have been very helpful. Thank you so much, Rachel.
No, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clap.